What can I say? Let me just hop right to it. Trying to get better lighting for these things. I've often wondered, why am I even here on this earth with all of this weirdness? Let's see if I can find it without the glare. And all of this strange stuff that's been going on for actually quite some time. And I was listening to a podcast today with a friend of mine that is a doctor, and he was talking about the soil and how depleted the soil is, how really we need actually supplementation a lot of times just to give our body what it needs to give us a fighting chance of somehow finding a way to stay healthy, mind, body, and spirit, or brain, body, and spirit, however one might choose to phrase that. And in light of everything that's been going on since the onset of the Industrial Revolution, with your Andrew Carnegies and your John D. Rockefellers of the world, check out the documentary Thrive. What on earth will it take? If you're looking for more reference, it's no wonder that people are sick. It's no wonder that people are more prone to catching something. And it's largely based on the weapon of mass destruction being the so called food that people are eating. And I mean like food like products. Because when you look at how depleted the soil is of vital nutrients, that's the same so-called food that most people are eating, thinking that they're getting some degree of nourishment, and that their cells are getting nourishment, and that the cells are getting the enzymes and the minerals and on the phytochemicals, things that give our bodies everything we need to have a strong, healthy immune system. And just looking at how constipated most Americans are, which is the ironic thing about this whole situation when people just started buying up toilet paper like the world was coming to an end, which I've shared in I think a prior video or two. It's like, that's the ironic thing. And I'm not saying this to be dismissive to people, because I've had issues with constipation myself. Psychologically, that means there's something you're not willing to let go of, in addition to the fact that you're deficient in fiber and magnesium in your diet, which are two of the main things that contribute to people being backed up and constipated, in addition to eating food that's been stripped of fiber and all of its nutritional content. Empty calories, to put it one way. So when you look at the fact that the soil is depleted of vital nutrients, you have sodium fluoride in the water supply, and that's been that way. They talked about how the Germans used that during Nazi Germany to pacify the masses, and it's another way to um, basically it dumbs down the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is one of the main sources that is directly linked to our creativity and our intuitive awareness of things. And so when you look at that, when you look at glyphosates, like what's the evil empire, Monsanto, with their Roundup, and they actually were sued because it is directly linked to cancer and causing cancer in people. And yet and still, most Americans are still ignorant, and they'll still go into a hardware store and buy Roundup to kill some weeds, not knowing that it's also contributing to endocrine disrupting chemicals in their system. And that actually goes into the groundwater if you pump enough of that stuff into the soil, right? And then you have in your children being more prone to disease, or coming out with something missing, or coming out with some brain defect or autism or ADD or something like that, because mom and pops were screwed up in their internal system. Their gut dysbiosis was completely out of whack. And so then you end up and God forbid the woman actually has a C-section. So that's even worse. So all of the vital uh, bodily secretions that a child needs coming through the vaginal birth canal the normal way, actually, all of that goes out the window when a C-section is performed. It is a freaking surgery. That's all it is. And I mean, granted, sometimes in emergency situations that may be required, but the bigger point is you're actually cheating that child out of what they need to sustain them for the long term. And if you think I'm off, question everything I say. Check out the works of Dr. Uh, excuse me. Check out the works of Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, who created the GAPS diet. Check out some of her videos on YouTube. This lady is amazing. Listen to her break it down about the importance of a child coming through the birth canal as opposed to being surgically removed from a woman's body. It's absolute madness. So, looking at all of this stuff and the fact that, the track that we're on with all of the plastic, what do they call it? Single-use plastic that's going into the oceans and screwing up the wildlife. Truthfully, at times I get it in terms of why people are in panic and fear, because it really does look like the world is coming to an end in a lot of ways, because there's so much of a disconnect. People don't produce their food anymore. Most people don't. They consume a lot, and they're consuming food from these same industrializations, or what do they call them? The Monsantos, what's the term they use for them? They're like biotech, I believe is the term they use for it. They make it sound sexy. In other words, they're poisoning you to death slowly with the glyphosates and the genetically modified Frankin Foods that they're feeding you. And then you wonder why children are coming out just loped out and whacked out in the membrane, or mentally retarded, or some type of birth defect. It's no wonder at all, and multiple sex organs. I mean, it's all types of crazy. I remember I used to work at a health food store, and I never will forget this. It was almost like, did I hear what I just think I heard? Lady came in the store one day and said that her child, and actually, no, this is actually the second time, because actually one of my former coworkers mentioned this to me, that her child has to have a surgery to have a rectum that actually opens up so the child can defecate, because it didn't happen during birth. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, this is unreal. I mean, it's like, is this stuff really happening? It's like I was watching a baseball game last night because I couldn't sleep. I don't really watch sports anymore because to me it's just another, if it was a distraction before, it's definitely a distraction now, to keep people off of the fact that the economy is in the tank, no matter what they tell you in the news media, and then what's going to be happening towards the end of this year and then going into next year with the housing market, and then all these people still unemployed. I mean, come on. So I'm watching a baseball game, couldn't sleep, and then I'm looking behind the catcher, and I'm thinking to myself, is that what I think it is? They literally had cardboard cutouts of people in the stands behind the catcher, or even along the first base line, along the third base line. They had cardboard cutouts of people. And I'm just like, wow, really? So it's like, what do you say? And then the other thing I would add too, at my job, at times I clean the bathroom. Sometimes you hear me repeat the same things because I think it's important to drive the point home. And you may hear it differently if I say it more than once. You may be in a different place when you hear it the next time. And a part of what I really just observe is just how nasty people are when it comes to these bathrooms. No wonder why people are buying up bleach and ammonia and all of this stuff, because most of these people are just nasty and stank. I've been on the bottom a lot of my life in terms of jobs and just mindset. And so it's like I've seen the worst in so many ways. And I used to clean up evicted homes, and just seeing how nasty people were, I'm just thinking to myself, how do you live in that kind of filth? How? And people do. They don't clean up after themselves. They don't wash their ass. I mean, it's like, I've kind of taken it on at times to clean up the bathrooms at my job, not even necessarily, well, I like to clean, so there's a part of what's there for me. And I'm not a germaphobe or a neat freak, but I like things to be in basic order, I think if there's 2 rooms in your house that should be clean most of the time, that should be your kitchen and that should be your bathroom, and just seeing a lot of the stuff that people use in their house that's just full of toxins. You're talking about carpet. Most of the time, the carpet is nylon, so plastic. So where's that plastic extracted from? It's probably extracted from something that was it's a chemical compound that that creates plastic. So why not get you a good wool carpet? I used to sell carpet or sell area rugs, and one of the guys I used to work with, I mean, this dude had been selling carpet for like 50 years. You know, I learned about wool carpet. Wool carpet is like one of the best surfaces you could put down, and that's what's so ironic to see some of these home improvement shows where they're constantly just railing on carpet, like, oh, we don't want carpet, and let's get the carpet out of this house. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you want to do that? Especially if you get a natural carpet like wool, it'll last you like 20, 30 years. It's a natural fiber, and get you one of those good uh carpet pads that's more like, how, what am I trying to say? The term always escapes me, but it's not biodegradable, but it's like it has it absorbs minimal amounts of bacteria. It's more environmentally friendly. Get you one of those carpet pads, get you a good quality wool carpet, get you some maybe some marmoleum. That's a good surface you could put down in your bathroom where you have minimal issues when it comes to bacteria and things like that. But the point is, Mother Nature has provided everything we need to live holistically, to live naturally. We don't need to use all of these chemicals like bleach and ammonia, all of that stuff that's just bad for your lungs and your respiratory system. The main thing that people are concerned about. You can make your own. I mean, hell, as many chemicals are in the regular tap water, you can just take regular water and get it nice and hot, put you some essential oils in there like tea tree or clove, which is incredibly strong. um, Maybe put you a little bit of maybe baking soda in there or something like that, and you got everything you need to have a clean floor and a clean house. You could use, I'm not a proponent of it, but back in the day, my grandmother would use ammonia and water, or sometimes I think it was just water and newspaper, if I'm not mistaken, to just clean the mirror. You didn't need to have ammonia and all these, incredibly abrasive and harsh chemicals that cause people to have issues with their breathing, and then you're wearing a mask. So it's like, think. It's not difficult. It's not illegal yet. And it's really just about being more connected to nature, being more connected to source. And a part of being connected to source is being connected to God, our creator, Allah, the universe, whatever you choose to call him, Buddha, Yahweh. And it's almost kind of disturbing at times to see how much we as people have gotten disconnected from nature, how we have gotten disconnected from eating foods when they're in season, or buying from local farmers, that don't use chemicals and pesticides, and supporting them so that they can actually have a life for themselves and their family and be, self-sufficient, as opposed to supporting all of these, you know, corporations that get all of these government subsidies that produce all of this Frankin food that's in the restaurants and the packaged foods and all this other kind of stuff that people are eating. It's no wonder why people are sick. There's no wonder why people are triggered and they're out of tune with the wisdom of their body. It's no wonder why people are constipated and emotionally triggered and have these raging hormones that have them fucking everything that moves, or ready to fight somebody at the drop of a hat, or ready to get into some type of shouting match. It's no wonder, because people are just out of tune. And when your body is out of tune like that, when you're eating emotionally, using food as a substitute, I've done it myself at times, so I can't sit here and say that I don't understand. People's thyroids are compromised. And when you got a thyroid that's compromised, at times you can't tell when you're full, especially if you're dealing with something like Hashimoto's thyroiditis. So, ultimately, like I said, do the best you can, have faith in something greater than yourself and continue to call upon that faith daily, because we are all going to need it in the times that we are currently in and the way that things are unfolding going forward. And even in the midst of all of that, there's still tremendous opportunities to prosper and have life and have it more abundantly. So stand powerfully in what you know to be possible. Think on the good things in life, even in the midst of a lot of the darkness that is around us, and know that, as I like to say, we can still have our heaven on earth. So take care of yourselves, be well, and just keep it simple. Use the natural resources that the Creator has given us to help heal mind, body, and spirit, because it can be done. The immune system and this body is incredibly intelligent, and this gift that we have called the mind and body, brain and body, came from the Most High. And as long as we do enough to stay in tune with it, we can have an amazing life. So take care of yourselves, folks, and be well.